Hello! This is the intro to these writing exercise videos. I really don't have much to say other than I hope you are having a good day. I suppose I should say Happy 4th of July / Independence Day to all my fellow Americans. I hope that we use our freedoms for the good of our fellow men and produce something good in this world, something virtuous in this world. July 4th, 2024. This is writing exercise number 6. Well, here is another day, another chance at observing the wanderings and meanderings of the mind. What fun! I can hardly wait. But in all seriousness, this exercise has definitely made an impact in the way that I think about things and my mode of presentation. Now, I would like to talk about something interesting and not spend so much time in the preliminaries. In the discussion yesterday, I was giving some thoughts on the importance of practice and the necessity of cultivating a correct mindset through the action of practice. It is necessary to think in terms of practice as a ritual, a process that you engage in. This is really the most productive way to think, to categorize the thing we call training, practice, development, etc. All these terms are centering around some concept or mode of thought which, when correctly tapped into, produces remarkable results. I wouldn't be surprised if the mode of action also takes into consideration the actions or activities of meditation, prayer, drill, and other activities that require the absolute attention of the individual. It's as if you must turn yourself into a receiver. The information you are channeling into your being might be of varying types and degrees, but the process is remarkably consistent. I suppose an analogy could be drawn to the computer's download/upload procedure. The files will be of different types, but the process of acquiring the data remains the same. Packets of data are transmitted across a network. The packets are small enough that they may be sent relatively easily. Each packet is then used to reconstruct the desired form in the sequence that has been predetermined by the designer. Wow, think about that process. The interesting features are found in two places: the packets themselves and the algorithm used to reconstruct the data object. Bear in mind that I have some knowledge of the process, but not enough to speak in great depth. I would recommend that you look up some of the magnificent lectures from Stanford, MIT, or other universities for a greater understanding of the process. But I can at least speak to the general theory. The packets must have at least 3 components to their structure. The first is the unique signature of the packet that indicates where it can be used in the thing to be built. I'm almost at a loss as to which word I should use to describe the file/item that is being constructed. This is the curse of having to think on the fly. You don't have the correct terminology. Well, maybe this will be impetus to actually do some research and find the correct term. For now, I will call the file the composition. The reason for this is to highlight the builtness of the thing. There is this sense in which the observation that is being made requires the viewer to categorize the environment into at least 2 components. The first are the primitives. These are the building blocks, the raw materials, the presupposed categories that don't require the observer to have any expertise as to their structure. They are the black boxes, the things that you can simply take for granted. If I'm building a house, I don't need to know how the concrete blocks, timbers, insulation, fasteners, etc. are created. I simply take the materials and build the composite structure. I simply need to know the theory of the house, how a structure is best designed. But if I'm a block manufacturer, then I must know the theory of the block, what its constituents are, what primitives are necessary to the construction of an ideal block. So much for the discussion of the primitives. Once you have an understanding of the building blocks, at least what materials are available to you, then the next step is to determine the nature of the composition. Once again, I'm using the term composition to differentiate the object from its primitives. I have the sense that I'm dancing around a philosophical method of thought, and I'm making up the terminology as I go. Ah well, that awareness will also need to wait for a later time. This exercise is really forcing me to see the limitations of my knowledge and where I should focus my attention for improvements and clarifications. Back to the original discussion. Let's see. What are the items that we have listed up to this point? I have detailed the primitive, the composition, and finally I should talk a little bit about the tools. This is the category of entities that aid in the joining of primitives into the composition. At their most basic level, the tools are the most readily available means by which the developer can interact with the environment. I just realized that this whole discussion of construction/design requires the presupposition of a developer. What is this class? This is the individual who has the basic set of observational and interactive functions with the environment. I hesitate to speak just in human terms because the constructor could really be any entity with the ability to accept the primitives, follow some sort of design schematic/blueprint, operate the set of tools that are at its disposal, and produce the composition. So, in the last few minutes of this writing exercise, what has been discussed? I will try to recall. The discussion of practice was picked up again. This morphed into an observation of design theory, and the observations concluded with an attempt to categorize the components necessary to the construction of a desired object. This has been the writing exercise for July the 4th, 2024. I hope that you have a wonderful day and are blessed in whatever journey God has planned for your life. Goodbye.